My name is Rashida Torres. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I moved here when I was 6 to LA, and then like kind of trickled along to the Valley. I have a brother. He's 5 years younger than me. He's 20, turning 21 next year, and this June. And I'm 26. Me and my brother were like tight like this. I remember when my brother was born, like I told my mom that I would be the best sister ever, and like I would make like notes and put it above his like bed and stuff, and like I would just like love on all on him, and then like I started picking on him, and then my mom was like, be careful, he's gonna grow up and he's gonna pick on you, and then like he kind of did that, but he didn't really. We were just like close, and we just like laughed a lot, so like I loved it. That's fun. Yeah. I mean, well, we were in LA for the most part because when I was younger, my mom was like, my mom was like homeless, so like we were trying to like find places to live, and a lot of people were like denying her because of like her credit. And I remember there was like this one place where like we went there, and like I was like, the landlord thought I was like the cutest little girl, and they were like interviewing us and stuff, and like I was just like crying, or I was like upset or something, and they were like, what's wrong? And I was like, we've been to so many places, like we've been walking all day, and we're just not going to get into an apartment because nobody wants to take us. Mm-hmm. And they felt like so bad, and they took us because of me. Wow. And wow. So like my mom was like super grateful, like, and it was like me, and at the time I was 6, and my mom just had my brother, so he was like 1. Man. Yeah, probably, or barely about to turn 1. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I remember it was like summer. I remember it was like super hot, and like so we lived in like LA, and like we like slowly moved. We like lived at this like group home, and then like we moved to like an apartment, and then when we moved out to the Valley, we're like in like more stable place.
Right. Yeah. Was it hard as a kid? Could you kind of tell what was going on, or was it one of those like just going with the flow?
Yeah, I was really smart for a kid. My mom is actually deaf, so she so she taught sign language is my first language. So like I pick up on things a lot. I'm very visual, so like obviously when I was a kid, I already knew what was like happening and stuff, and like I just picked up on like we weren't getting accepted, like we couldn't find a place, you know, and so like we had to go to the next place, and so it's just like kind of like frustrating. And like as a kid, I always stood up for my mother, and like people like oppressing her, and like for her being deaf and stuff like that, and I always be like, no, like you're not gonna do that, and like I would always like talk back, and I was really feisty. So yeah, I would like speak up for my mom a lot. Like after that, like we went to school and like picked the school that like I was getting into, and like my mom wanted me to go to the best school with like the best education. So like she always tried to like do the like open enrollment where you like apply your kid like even though you're not like in the area. Yeah. So that's what she would do for me and try to get me into like the good school. So I went to Hart Street Elementary, but then from there I transferred to Lockhurst Elementary in the Valley. Okay. And then she enrolled me into Hale Middle School, which it was in our resident, and I got accepted there. And then from there she enrolled me in El Camino charter. Yeah.
Wow.
So. Mm-hmm.
And that's where you graduated from?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Was school pretty easy for you? Did it come easy?
Yeah, it was very easy. I mean, I'm very visual, so like I picked it up really fast, and like I would always talk. That was like the biggest like complaint about me is like she's a good student, but she's always talking. And so my mom was like, you gotta stop talking, and I was like, okay. No, I went to college right after school. Okay. I was like, wanted to have my own independence, but then I also like wanted to go to a school where like I wouldn't like get into trouble or anything. Like I wanted to stay out of, like I didn't want to be that college student that like was homeless their whole life, or like wasn't like, you know, and was in low income and then like went to college and then like messed up their life. Like I didn't want to be that person. And so I was like, I want to go to a college where like it's maybe kind of boring, but like I'll focus on the like work ethic of the school rather than like going out and partying and stuff like that. And if I do go out and party, at least it's in a boring town, you know. So yeah. Yeah. So I won't get into it too much trouble. Like I won't be like stuck on like really bad drugs or like, you know, like anything like that. Like that's one thing I like knew I didn't want for myself ever since I was like a little girl.
When did you find out that you were pregnant? Were you with a boyfriend? How did that kind of pan out?
Mm-hmm. So I believe it was 2019. Wow. I was actually like seeing this boy that I had met off Tinder, I think, or something like that. And he turned out to be a rapper. And so I was like, oh, okay. Like, he made music and he moved from Michigan. And I would spend all my time with him. Like, if I wasn't working, I was at his house. So like, and he lived in downtown LA. I lived in the Valley. I lived in North Hollywood. So like, it wasn't too bad. And I would come visit him every day, and like, we're spending time together. And then like, one day I just like felt weird, and I didn't get my period, and I was just like, like, I think something's going on. And so I think I told him. No, I don't think I told him. I went and got tested, and they were like, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, because I was still in school, like, you know, like, still young. Like, at the time, I think I was like 19 or 20. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this can't be happening. Like, this is what my mom told me not to do. Like, my mom had me at 18, and like, oh no. And so I told him, and he was like, oh my gosh, I can't have a kid. And he already has 2 kids. And he was like, oh my gosh, I can't have a kid. And I was like, I can't have a kid, but I'm definitely not having an abortion. And so it was like a huge thing, because like, I don't believe in an abortion. Like, I think that it definitely is the woman's choice. And like, you know, depending on the situation, like, you know, you should be able to choose. But I feel like it was my action, and like, it takes 2 people to tango, you know. And so like, I'm going to be responsible for my actions. And the biggest thing that was scary for me is that like, going to my mom, like, and telling her. And like, I remember being so scared, and like, being on my way to the doctor's appointment to like have the second like test to make sure that you're pregnant, and then like, they tell you like everything that to do after. And I called my mom, and I was like in the Uber with my ex best friend, and I was like crying because I was just so nervous. And I was like, Mom, like, can you please call me? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, Mom, I'm pregnant. And she was just like, oh my gosh, like, do you need anything? And she was just so supportive. And I just remember like feeling loved. Like, she did not get mad at me or anything like that. And I like went to the appointment, and the biggest thing that like scared me was like, I know that like a lot of like the doctors and stuff will like encourage you to like, they'll be like, oh, well, these are your options, but they'll like more lean towards like abortion. And you're just like emotional because you don't know what to do, especially at that age. But yeah, I went, and I was like super scared. And then like, they tested me again, and they were like, yeah, you're definitely pregnant. And then I think they did like the ultrasound thing, and then we're like, yeah, you're pregnant. Well, at first I felt like I was alone, but then like, literally everyone like just like came to me, like so much support. Like, well, the people that knew, like, it was my mom and like my best friend, and kind of the guy, like, he was like, I support you any option that you want. Like, he was trying to like make it seem like, hey, I'm not trying to gear you towards abortion. In the beginning, that's how he was. But like, when I decided that I wanted to keep the baby, my mom was like, anything you need, like, just let me know. Like, I support you. Like, you know, like, I'm there for you. Like, you can keep it, you cannot. And my ex-best friend was like, you know, I'm here for you. And he was like, when I told him, I was like, I think I'm going to keep it, because I don't want to have an abortion. Like, I'm not going to do that. And he was like, oh. It was like his response. And I was just like, you know, like, you can work with me, you cannot, like, it's totally fine. And he was just like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be there for you, because, you know, I'm in my rapping career, and like, I don't have time for another kid. And so like, it was kind of like a stress on him, but like, I would still come see him. So like, I was pregnant, and like, I was like coming to see him still, and like, I still went to work and stuff like that. And I remember there was like a point where he just like was kind of like annoyed, and was like, you know, you shouldn't keep the baby, like, this is like, he got upset at me and was like, this is something, you know, this is like both of our decisions. And I was like, you're right, it is. And like, I want to keep it, so I don't know what you want to do. And he was just like, well, I can't have another kid. And it was just like kind of like a little bit of tension, and like I was just like emotional, obviously, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. And like I went to my mom, and she was like, well, at the end of the day, it's your choice, like, you know, like it's your choice whether you still want to keep it or not, but you know, you need to choose before like it gets bigger. And so yeah, that was, I think I was like about like 6 weeks at that point, because I had like gone to the doctor again, and like he was supposed to come with me but didn't come with me. I did end up keeping the baby, and like I was like trying to be like the most like like healthiest like I could, like, you know, making sure that I was eating and like being relaxed. I know that I was really stressed all the time, and so like that was like one of the things that like could lose your baby, like you could lose your baby like that, and that was like stressful. So like I was stressed about being stressed. I was supposed to be going for my 9-week like checkup, and it was like a couple days before that I had gone to I remember I went to the Will Smith concert, and I went there, and that day specifically I remember feeling really weird. Like I remember like you don't feel a heartbeat, but I remember that like I could feel that there was something there. Like, and that day I felt empty, and I was like felt really weird, and like I just went to the concert because I was like, maybe I'm just down because of, you know, the whole thing and stuff like that. But like I remember like thinking to myself that like something was wrong. And I had told my best friend, and I was just like, there's something wrong, like I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong. And she was like, no, just stay positive, like you're fine. And I was just like, okay. And I remember telling him too, I was like, there's something wrong, like. And I remember that night, I think I like had went over, yeah, I did. I went after the concert, I went over to his house, and he had fed me like seafood or something, like, and like you're not really supposed to have seafood, but like certain types of seafood or whatever. And I was like, there's something wrong, like I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong, and my evaluation is tomorrow, so will you come with me? And he was like, yeah, I'll go with you, like don't worry. And I was like, okay, perfect. And yeah, I wake up in the morning like bright and early, and the appointment I think was like at 11, and I had to go from LA to like the Valley to go to my appointment. And I wake up, and he's like, I don't feel good, and didn't want to come. And I was like super stressed, because now I'm like, there's something wrong, he's not coming, and I'm like have to go to this appointment, and like I'm stressed, like. And so I get up, and like I go, and I literally remember it like yesterday. Like I get up and I go, and I get to the appointment, and they're doing the little like ultrasound, and it's just taking like a while. And like I like look at her, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she was like, there's no heartbeat. And I was like, what do you mean? Like there's not supposed to be a heartbeat, or like is there? And she was like, there's supposed to be a heartbeat at 7 weeks or something, 7 or 8 weeks, and you're 9 weeks and you don't have a heartbeat. And I was like, no, like, are you sure? Like, try again. And she was like, I'll definitely try again. And like, she tried again, and like, there was nothing. It was just like a little sac. Like, it was like, like that. Wow. And there's like the little body, and then like the little head. And I was like, I remember like just like freezing, and I was like, well, can you save I was like, we'll do something, like save the baby. And she was like, there's nothing we can do. And she was like, you're gonna have to get an abortion. And I was like, no. And I remember being just so emotional, and I kept telling her, and I was like, I knew there was something wrong. I've been telling people that there's something wrong. Like, how did this happen? And she was just like, sometimes the body just like the chromosomes just don't match, and your body will just automatically like kill the baby. And I was like, no way, like there's no way. And she was like, sometimes it's that, sometimes it's stress. And she was like, but you know, I can't really tell you what it is. And I just remember just like crying, like just so much. And I was by myself. There was no one with me. Like I was by myself, like, and I remember just being in there. And then she was like, well, you need to pick an option. Like, you need to know, like, what do you want to do? Like, are you going to take the pill, or do you want to have the like surgery where they do it? And I like couldn't even like talk.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like blank, you know. And so they had me sit in a room and like drink some water, and doctor came and talked to me, and I was like, there must be something that you can do. And he was like, no, like you need to get an abortion. And I was like, I can't get one. And he was like, you have to, because then you're going to get sick, you're going to have an infection. And I just remember I tried to call my mom, but she wasn't available, and I just felt so alone, like just so alone. And the room was like super dark too for some reason. Yes, I think they did like say like that day, or I think they either said that day or they said like you could come back, but they were like, you need to like decide like immediately because you have a dead baby in your body. And so I remember that I didn't even want to come back. That was like my biggest thing. I was like, I don't even want to come back. So if I'm going to do it, like if I have to do it, like I'm just going to do it now. And so they either had the pill option. Oh, that's what it was. They couldn't do the other option because I was already 9 weeks, which means that the baby was too like big, I guess. And so I had to take the pills to like kill the baby, and like the body like gets rid of it, and you just start bleeding a lot and stuff like that. So like I remember they told me that I had to take like 4 pills or something, like 4 different pills. Like it was just so weird, and I was like so overwhelmed. And they were like, you're gonna experience some pain, and you know, here's some narcotics for the pain. And they were just like, you know, just make sure you eat and, you know, do this. And they just sent me home. And they were like, and then like the next day you're going to take the rest of the pills, and like you'll be good, like it'll be done. And I just remember being so devastated. I remember like I rode the bus home, and I was just like, it just felt like it was like dark. It was that next day that was like horrible for me. I went home, I took the pills, and I was like in bed dying. Like, it was the most extreme pain that I've ever experienced. And I normally get like really bad cramps, like I normally do. And but this was like beyond like anything I've ever experienced. Like I felt like my insides were like chewing itself up. I felt like I needed to throw up. Like I was over the like toilet, like just like crying and crying and crying and crying. And I remember like I didn't even want to eat. Like I didn't want to do anything because I was like, there's no point. Like the baby is dead. Like I've failed. Like there's nothing like to do, you know, there's no point in eating. There's no point in drinking. There's no point in doing anything. And I just remember crying just so much. And I don't live with my parents. I live with family friends. So like it's even harder. Because the family friends didn't know I was pregnant, and it was just like weird, and like I just was in my room the whole day. And I remember at night I finally called my friend who has a baby, and her baby is like a year old, and I was like, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna die right now. And she was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, I'm gonna come over there. Like, I'm gonna bring you food. Like, she was like, have you eaten? And I was like, no, there's no point in eating. And she was like, you need to eat. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, I'm gonna bring you food. And she came over and she took me out, and we went and got Chipotle. I remember that was like the first thing I ate. And like, I barely was like, had an appetite, but as soon as I started eating, like I like ate the whole thing. Right. And I just remember my head was pounding, like I just felt so empty in my body, and like I was the weakest I've ever been. Like, yeah. It was probably like for 2 days. It was that like day, and then the next day when I took the pills, like on the 3rd day, because it was the day I took it, and then like I went home and I slept, and the next morning like I felt it, and then I took the pills again because it was like the 2nd set of pills, and then you're done. So then that was like the worst day. And then the 3rd day, like I took the narcotics, and like I slept all day, but like when I woke up, I just like was in pain and just like horrible. I remember that I didn't leave my room like for a week. I don't know if I did like a maternity leave or something from work, but I remember not working for like a week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like didn't leave my room. Like at all. Like I was the most depressed. I probably was like my first time ever being depressed, and yeah, I didn't leave my room for a week, and I eventually told my mom, and she was just like really sad about it, and super supportive. But like when I told him that there was no heartbeat, like he was just like, I honestly felt like he was just happy. And for the longest, like I blamed him. Like I felt like he set me up and like gave me something that killed the baby. Like, and it was crazy to like say that, but like I feel like when you're pregnant, you get these like instincts, you know, and you just know, you know, and it was just the fact that I knew, you know, before I was even pregnant, I knew that I was maybe pregnant. And when I was pregnant, like I knew, like I already instantly like had this like connection, this bond. And then when something was wrong, I knew instantly. Like it wasn't like, oh, there's something wrong. Like it was like, no, like they knew exactly when. They could kind of track like when the baby stopped having a heartbeat, and it was exactly when I had like guessed. Yeah, the time that I was pregnant was like I just had this bond and a connection that like was different. Like when, you know, I talk to my friends and like moms say like it's just something you never like, and you have to experience it yourself, you know, like I get it. It was like kind of hard for me. I mean, not really hard. It was definitely hard. Like I said, I was going to college too. So like it was over that summer. And then I remember going back to school that fall, and I was just like, I knew I had to do something. And so like I called the school therapist and like started going to therapy and like told them about this. And, you know, they had me journal, and like I had a journal for, my baby, and like I named him and everything, and like I knew it was a boy. Like it was weird, like I knew it was a boy, like I knew like everything like about him, you know. And so like I have a journal at home actually that I like still have, and like I write other things in it, but like I put the pictures of the ultrasounds the day that I found out I lost the baby, and I just put like other things in there, and I also have like the day that he was supposed to be born, which is November 11th, which is really special to me because it's 11/11. There is light at the end of the tunnel for sure. After like definitely therapy, I would say is like a huge thing that I needed, because it was like the abortion and the pregnancy and the, you know, people supporting me, people not supporting me, and then, you know, being in school. Nice. It was just like all of that combined, it was just like a huge weight on me. And so like therapy was like what saved me, because there was like definitely moments where I was just like feeling like dark, and I'm a very bright and vibrant person, you know, like people know me as like laughing, giggling, being the loudest person ever, and just always being talkative, you know. And so not having that part of me was like, felt like something was missing, you know. And then also having an abortion felt like extra was missing. So just having that little period of time of like self-care, self-awareness, and like bringing myself back to like childhood. We did a lot of like childhood work and coloring books. I had like a challenge where I had to only talk positive about myself, because I was like blaming myself for everything, and I said it was my fault, and I did that, which really helped. And I would write in my journal to him, and like just write to him about like my day, and, you know, just little things like that. And it helped, because after that period, I remember that was like literally the start of like my self-growth journey. Like I started more focusing on myself and like growing and like actually wanting things for myself that I knew were like better for myself. And starting not to tolerate things that I used to tolerate before.
Therapy is a very important thing.
Yeah.
Was that something that maybe the doctors recommended, or was it something that you kind of gravitated to naturally? How was that?
The doctors may have suggested it. I'm not sure. But I did share with like one of my other close friends from college that I had an abortion, and they kind of saw like how it was different, and they had suggested it to me. I also wasn't doing great in my classes. Like I just didn't care. Like I just stayed home. I didn't want to do anything. Like when I went back to college, I was like secluded. Like I didn't want to do anything. So I was like, you know, I think I should do therapy and like be open to it. I've always been like pretty optimistic about it and not like against it. So I was just like, okay, I'll give it a try. And so I did that. Yeah.
I think moving forward, are you still wanting to have kids? Are you maybe less open to it? How do you feel about that?
I definitely do want to have a kid, and I know like one of the biggest like choices that I made was like getting an IUD, so I don't have that experience again. And just the culture of like going to the doctor and them telling you should have an abortion is just blows my mind. And so I was just like, I don't want to experience that again, and I don't want to experience having to be forced to having an abortion because I had a miscarriage, you know. That is like the hugest like thing that was like hard for me, and like I would never like tell anyone to go through that. And it's one of the reasons why I'm against abortions, you know. It's not natural, you know. It's not I don't know, I'm against it. I'm against people forcing abortions, you know. I feel like at the end of the day it is a woman's choice, but I'm against people like encouraging you to get one, and telling you what to do with your body, you know, or telling you that you should keep it when you aren't physically able to keep it, you know. But yeah, I don't want to put myself through that again. And so I actually went and got an IUD, and so now when I'm ready to have kids, I will definitely like be ready, like make sure that I am ready, because I do want to have a kid and I want to have a little boy. Like I've always wanted a little boy. I don't know about a girl because I'm pretty feisty, and I know the little girl will be really feisty. So yeah, I do want to have maybe one, maybe two. And like especially like I feel like it's a big thing now for doctors to like encourage it without being like it being like something bad, because like a lot of young people go to them and will be like, oh, I'm pregnant, you know. And it's all these young mothers or like teenagers or even middle schoolers, you know, and it's crazy, and they're just like, well, you should just have an abortion, you know. And it's like, it's easy, you know, and an abortion is money for them, you know. So it's just like, it's just so sad that that's like a thing and that isn't talked about, and it should definitely stop, because it's not okay. And they're younger, you know, they don't know any better, and they're probably super emotional because they are pregnant, you know. And it's just like, it's huge, you know. It's something that shouldn't be something that they should be deciding. And it's an even bigger thing that it's like, oh, you don't have to ask your parents for permission for this, you know. It's just like, yeah, like if you're a certain age, like, because it's your baby, like it's your body, it's just like, I don't know, just like it blows my mind. I feel like they try not to scare people, but they definitely didn't tell me that I was going to be in as much pain as I did when I took those pills. Like those pills literally like took my body, like tied it in knots, threw it in the trash, and then like took it out of the trash, and then like threw it, like ran over it. Like I felt like that's what it did. Like they did not tell me that that's the kind of pain I would have went through. They just gave me narcotics and were like, here, this will help with pain. And like it barely helped with the pain, because you can only take so much at a certain amount of time. And like I took it and it didn't do anything to me. Like if anything, it made me nauseous because I wasn't eating. And it's just like,
and there was no follow-up from the doctors after the baby?
No, they just said, take these pills today, take them tomorrow, and you'll be fine. Come back if there's any unnecessary bleeding.
It's like, how am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
How do I know too much is too much? Like, I have no idea. Yeah. You don't give me no measuring.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
exactly,
Like,
yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah.
What notes would you give to any young girl who might be going through something similar? Whether they're like trying to figure out if they want to keep the kid, or if they decide to do the abortion. Do you have any notes that you would maybe want to kind of mention to any girls?
I would say definitely follow your gut. Everyone in the world is going to tell you so many different things, and it's like you need to do what's best for yourself. And I know that's like a huge like decision and a huge like responsibility that's like burdened on you, but it's like everything happens for a reason, and you were blessed with this opportunity to have a kid. Like, do you have it or do you not? You know, there's only those two options, and it's up to you whether you're gonna have it and whether you don't. And for those that don't have support, I would definitely suggest like finding somebody that will be there to support you, even if it's just a person, you know, even if it's just like a therapist, you know. Support is huge, for sure. And it's not something that you can go through by yourself, because it's new. It's something you don't know about, you know. You're learning and you're growing with it.